Hello and welcome back to the 8 Cube Circus, episode number 23, our second to last one of 2025. And we have a very special guest, our first returning guest that's not Denish or Xenaid. It is RoramPlays. How are we doing, Roram?
I'm doing pretty good. Thank you guys for having me again. I appreciate it immensely.
Awesome. So, I know Xenaid's been pretty busy lately, but Denish, you've been playing a lot of Infinity Ultron and Snap in general. How's it going for you?
I have. Today specifically, I've been playing with this new card that we'll get into from the Team Clash event. But overall, I've been having a lot of fun with Infinity Ultron until Maverick released. And then I haven't played much since. But up until then, it's been great.
Xenaid, how are we doing?
I've been sneaking in some Fallen One games. Like that's really what I'm doing. Um, he's not that great right now. I mean, actually, no. Like he's actually pretty good, but I think we're not talking about competitive today, right?
We're not talking about ladder today. I think maybe for the first time in a long time, we're going to be talking about limited time game modes. So, with the most recent release of Team Clash today, as we are recording this, Marvel Snap now has quite a few limited time game modes, and we're going to be talking through all of them, saying which ones we like, which ones we hate, and what our favorite parts of non ladder snap gameplay are. But first, make sure to join up the ACube Circus Discord. It'll be at the top link in the description for coaching webinar sessions, which will happen more often now, as well as streaming YouTube alerts for both Denish and Xenaid streams and my YouTube. Are we ready to go?
Yes,
Heck
sir.
yeah.
All right. First up, we're going to be talking about Team Clash, which is Marvel Snap's newest game mode that released today. So, if you haven't heard about Team Clash, the basic premise of it is you have six kind of reworked versions of Marvel Snap cards. And what you're going to do with those versions of Snap cards is you have those six, and then you get to fill out six or use a pre constructed six in your deck. And every sort of six cards that are pre-constructed are part of a team. Each team has a special ability that, for example, like we'll use Thunderbolts for example. When you play a Thunderbolt at a location you're losing, it reveals with +2 power. So if you have like a hood on a location and you're losing it, and then you play Iron Patriot will reveal as a 5 power card instead of a 3 power card, and he'll keep that +2 buff unless it obviously gets removed by something like a Shadow King. So that's the premise of Team Clash. And these cards are like, some of them are really cool and they're complete like reworks. As you can see, Cyclops down there is a 3/1 that has an ongoing ability that he has the power of the most energy you had this game. So it's a completely different card, but I've been enjoying it when I've been playing it. I know Roram, you've also been playing it a lot today. What do you think about it?
I think it's a pretty fun game mode. I like how all the different characters are feeling. I like how all the different decks feel good. I like how they've implemented missions to play the different decks so that we're not all stuck playing the same one all the time. Um, Overall, it's a pretty good experience so far. I'm hoping that it stays a good experience as people keep changing decks over the course of the next week, but we'll see how the cards fall on that one.
Dennis, what about you?
Yeah, I've been playing it as well. I haven't been diversifying. I haven't done the missions yet. But I just really like the Guardians playstyle, which we'll get into a breakdown of each of the playstyles briefly in a second. But I've been, yeah, absolutely. I love these new almost gameplay mechanics where the cards are interacting with each other in a way that isn't like on reveal or ongoing. And it's leading to situations where power is getting distributed in a way that is like completely unintuitive to someone who's played like normal Snap for 3 years. An example of that would be like there's a card that destroys based on cost, which like you'd think, oh, that's completely normal. But the cards that are scaling on the other side of the board are all like one costs. And so you'd think it's going to hit like a 2 power card and then you blow up a 13 power card and it's just surprising. There's a lot of it feels very fresh.
Xenaid, have you had time to play this mode?
Yeah, you know when I say like I'm really busy to play, it means I'm really busy to play like my 100 games a day kind of vibe. I'm playing kind of on the DL. I've tried Move and I've tried the Thunderbolts deck. Um, I was trying to buy out the game mode again, like you know how we normally do, which I
Yeah.
find it like funny that we have an LTM episode because we are past buy outers to have to dodge these kind of things. But I'm liking the feel of the mode so far. I haven't net decked anything yet, so I don't know where meta's gonna land. But Thunderverse, I think Thunderbolts. Doc was talking he was playing a B hand, so I'm on like some B hand clog mix right now.
Mm. Yeah, there's a lot of different ways to go with each of them. So I guess we'll start with the Avengers, which is the deck that I've been playing the most. So Avengers ability is when you play an Avenger, give another Avenger at that location +1 power. The precon cards are Avengers Hawkeye, who is a 1/1 with that says an on reveal. If you play a card here next turn +2 power, if it's an Avenger, repeat this ability here. So you can kind of go on and on and on like a surge. Next up is Captain America, who is an ongoing. Your other Avengers here have +2 power. Doctor Strange, on reveal, move one of your Avengers with on reveal to this location to repeat its ability. Thor, on reveal, draw an Avenger and shuffle Mjolnir into your deck. Vision, who's a 4/7. If you have another Avenger here, you can move this. And Hulk, who is a 6/10, on reveal, +3 power for each other Avenger you have here. And if I didn't clarify, both Captain America and Doctor Strange are 2/2s, and Thor is a 3/3. What do we think about the Avengers style? I'll start with you guys because you guys played against it a lot.
Um, I think it's probably the easiest deck to play, where you're basically just putting as many cards as you can in a row, let the Avengers buff each other up a bunch. You have your Captain Carter lane, you have your Iron Man lane, and then you win via that style. I think this is, if we were going to compare it to anything, which we'll probably touch on later on, it's the Black Panther of the Team Clash, um, where it's just very easy to play and it's just a lot of points.
Yeah, but I will say I haven't noticed it as prevalent as old Black Panther, which could be because it's only been a couple hours. But I feel like it's not way more points than the rest of them, which is good. I feel like overall they've done a pretty good job balancing it here. It could just be that people haven't found it yet. But I like the pattern. It's almost like, because obviously the Avengers team has the assemble buff as well, which is after you play an Avenger, give one of your Avengers their +1 power. So it's almost like you have constant Angela in your lane. And I think that's cool because like Jeff is an Avenger and he moves, Vision's an Avenger and he moves, Doctor Strange is an Avenger and he is moving cards out for you. I just love these almost, it's another like, it almost represents the Hope Summers, Elsa Bloodstone, Angela style of deck, but it's very different. And I think that's cool.
Yeah, I'll touch on a bit of the playstyle because this is the deck that I've been playing the most. I think I probably have a win rate above 70% with it. So I went with the custom deck for Avengers, and my 6 custom cards are Ant-Man, Sam Wilson, Captain Carter, Symbiote or Superior Spider-Man, who is not an Avenger, but I have him there anyways, Shang-Chi, and Iron Man. So the main reason I want Superior Spider-Man is because I'm running both Iron Man and the Hulk. And Hulk can be very big, but I really want to get him down on 5. And another thing you can do is you can Hulk, and then you can Doctor Strange and move the Hulk. That gets into a bit of mind games there. But also, you want to be probably playing it like a 5+2, like an Iron Man plus Cap, or something like that, or like a uh, Shang plus Ant Man plus Cap, or something like that on turn 6. I think that Avengers is very strong. I think it plays pretty similar to like a get one big lane and then use Shang to destroy their other lane kind of deck. I think that's pretty good. I think Shang is actually very strong in this mode, specifically against the X-Men, who have a lot of power tied up in their Cyclops. So if you can get that Cyclops off the board, that's very strong. Also, with against Thunderbolt, it's pretty good. You have a lot of like 210. There's like their Winter Soldier's a 210. That's like the best card in their deck. Sentry also very strong if they're losing the location. That's a 411. Just being able to hit those, mess up their Taskmaster, mess up their Scar if they're doing a Scar deck with that. Just that kind of stuff is pretty strong, I find. And yeah, I've been doing really well with Avengers. I posted the deck in the Discord if you want to copy it for yourself. But yeah, I've been having a lot of fun with it. Zen, do you have any thoughts on Avengers?
I wasn't really excited by the thought of playing Avengers. I, I, I split the decks into like cards that give you more energy, right? And cards that give you, or decks that give you more energy and decks that give you more power on playing cards. Is there a specific standout Avenger? Like, because I'm looking at them and I'm like, dang, Thor
Like,
doesn't seem like the
The
best.
best one?
Yeah.
The best one is Hawkeye, because Hawkeye can easily get to like a 1-9, 111. The second best one is probably Doctor Strange, because what you can do is you can do Thor into Doctor Strange on turn 4 with a Superior Spider-Man out, and you can get +2 draws.
That's
Yeah,
interesting.
In my short time playing, I was really annoyed by Shang-Chi's. And then I've even seen Electras running around. I think people are trying to find a way to tech.
I felt like my personal strongest Avengers were actually Vision and Captain America, just because they were so much stats that you could just surprise your opponent with. You know, Captain America giving +2 to everyone. He's basically a 2/8 on his own body, and then if you play him later, he's a 2/11 at that point. And then Vision being able to just stack into a lane, give everyone some buffs, and then move him out was just really nice, and it felt good with like Carter and Iron Man.
Yeah, the main reason that I think Avengers is probably one of the two best teams in my opinion is because there is 5 like good cards and there's the Hulk. And the Hulk is the weakest of the Avengers. And you might think it's Thor, but Thor is just basically a draw. And if you'll notice later, I think some of the best teams have a lot of good draw engines. And I think that segues us very nicely into talking about the X-Men. So the X-Men have an energy boost. You get +1 energy for each location where you have 3 or more X-Men. And the 6 like pre-constructed cards for the X-Men are Nightcrawler, which is you can move this once. When this moves, give it +1 power for each of your X-Men at the new location, and that is a 1/1. Wolverine, who is a 2/1 end of turn if you have unspent energy. Destroy this to regenerate it with +3 power at a location where you have an X-Man. Jean Grey, who is a 2/3. The next time you get bonus energy as the turn starts, draw a card. Cyclops, who's a 3/1, ongoing, gains power equal to the most energy you had in one turn this game. Jubilee, who's a 4/1, add the top card of your deck to this location, give it power equal to your unspent energy. And Professor X, who's a 5/4, you get +1 energy each turn for each of your X-Men here. I'll start off with Roram because I know he's been playing a lot of X-Men.
Yeah, so X-Men have a lot of cool ways to win, being the way that they can stack in their energy together and then just like gain it all through a Sunspot or their Cyclops. Probably my favorite cards of the X-Men though are Professor X and Jubilee. Just they have really cool abilities, especially the Jubilee where it gives it power equal to your unspent energy. I think that's a cool little addition for Jubilee to just give it a lot of power at the end of the game if you need to. Um, and Professor X just being a basically +4 energy when you play him on turn 4 or 5.
Yeah, I think the Professor X is almost like the outlier here. Obviously, Cyclops is really big, but being able to get the Professor X down on 4 seems really, really strong. The other thing that I've noticed with this is similar to how Avengers has like the Thor alt line, where it isn't necessarily too strong, but it's like another thing you could be doing. I feel like End of Turn with Invisible Woman First Steps has a lot of potential with this because you've got your Wolverine, which is a new enabler. You've got Sunspot, which is already a good enabler because you're floating like 6 energy, so it's +6. and you can run things like Havoc, and I think that has a lot of potential. I'd love to see that explored.
Oh, that is a cool idea. I haven't tried that one yet. My
Yeah.
main idea is like doing a counter build against like Avengers stuff, where I basically Juggernaut Valkyrie at the end of the game, and then I win off of my Cyclops. Is what my game plan is right now.
Yeah, X-Men I think is interesting. I think that a lot of these cards are pretty strong. I think that the Jean Grey, that's pretty much 2/3 draw 1, is a lot of added consistency to the deck. And well, in this mode, I think that being able to just get the extra draws are really, really valuable. Especially considering like a deck like Spider Verse doesn't really have that, and that might be why it's a little bit lacking as compared to the other ones, at least by how we feel it right now. Zen, you got anything to add?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like the draws make this one like significantly better than Spider Verse because Spider Verse also gets like a hell of a lot of energy, but I felt like in my Spider Verse games, I was like running out of engine, right? Running out of cards to play. Whereas I feel like with this deck, the energy, even if you don't spend it, it's going to powering your cards, right? So like you're not forced to run that much higher of a curve to make value of your energy, and I think that like benefits a lot from it, especially because like you don't even care if you're clogging your lanes. Because I know the buff says like, oh, each location you have 3 or more, but there's so many scalers in this deck, right? That it's kind of like strong just based on the scalers.
Mm. Now, on to the next one. The first one without really a draw engine. It is Thunderbolts. So, Thunderbolts reveal with +2 power at locations you are losing. The 6 set in stone Thunderbolts are Valentina, who is a 2/-1. On reveal, add a random Thunderbolt to your hand, give it -1 cost. Toxidoxy, who is a 2/2. On reveal, give 2 characters in your hand +2 power. You can't play them next turn unless they're Thunderbolts. Winter Soldier, who is a 2/8 that you can only play it at a location you're losing. Ghost, which is a 3/6 that costs 1 less for each location you're losing. Taskmaster, which is a 4/0 that gains power equal to your other highest power Thunderbolt. And Sentry, who is a 4/9 that adds a void to a location where you don't have a Thunderbolt. Zen, we're going to start with you on this one. What do you think about it?
I really like playing big guys. Like I like slamming my guys on the board and then they get bigger. So like most of the cards on Thunderbolts, like +2 naturally on them, feels so good because you got like a 2/10, like your 3/6 turns into like a 1/8 or a 2/8 or a 0/8. Like even like the natural cards you're playing, like I'll tell you some of the cards that I've added into the custom deck. Like V Hand is a 2/5. A lot of the times that you're duping with Frigga. Wait, no, I'm 2/4. Sorry, 2/4. OTA came out today. Yeah, but that you're duping with Frigga, and then like you can even run Viper, and then when you're vipering a card over, you get so much extra value. Iron Patriot also feels super fun. So like I think there's just a lot of like I like the custom cards you can play for Thunderbolts because I think like adding 2 power to cards makes them really fun to play.
Yeah, I think Thunderbolts is a really cool mechanic. I think yeah, the +2 is it feels really significant when you're playing it, but it's also cool. They've made it very flavorful because a lot of these cards you don't actually want the +2 power on, which obviously the way you deal with that is you play them in like tertiary lanes or side lanes. But like if I have to play my Valentina into Vibranium Mines, I'm not gonna do that. Like I'm just gonna play it in the lane and have it play for 2/1, which is almost like an inbuilt anti-synergy, which I think is really cool for the Thunderbolts deck. This is a really neat play pattern that I honestly would love to see in the regular game. Some kind of deck that benefits from throwing priority but keeping it really close. Another all-star I think would be Taskmaster, the 4/0 that adds your highest card's power to himself or herself. I just think that's really cool card design, and I'm glad that they're almost taking the opportunity because I imagine these are cards that they a lot of them they probably had in advance that they scrapped, like Winter Soldier 2/8. You can only play this in locations you're losing. Like that feels like a card that they almost printed. That's like a Series 4 card. And I think it's cool to see all these new concepts. I really do.
Yeah, I really enjoyed Thunderbolts when I was playing it. My two favorite cards were Ghost and Winter Soldier. That they're the ones that are really like driving up the power for you and giving you a lot of bonuses for kind of throwing priority. I One thing that was cool though was like Valentina. I think in the data mines it said that she was like drawing you a thunderbolt, and now she's just adding a random thunderbolt to your hand, which is really cool in my opinion because she can add the team clash ones to your hand, and that is just a lot of cool synergy because now she loses you a lane as well as add something that's cheaper and easier to play in your hand.
Mhm. So the two main strategies that I've seen are Victoria Hand stuff, because Victoria Hand is a Thunderbolt herself, and Annihilus, just because or not even just Annihilus, just Clog, whether with or without Annihilus. It's just you kind of want to get your -3 Hood over, your -9 Void over. Titania is also with Thunderbolts. There's a lot of Titania Green Goblin stuff that's going on. So a lot of different stuff there. I also saw Scar, someone playing Scar and Thunderbolts. I thought that was pretty neat. There's a lot of cool stuff that you can do with it, and I definitely think the +2 power is more significant than you think. Uh, but yeah, I mean, I think Clog is a pretty natural thing to do with this because Viper, Titania, the Hood, they're all Thunderbolts. So you're able to get like a lot of like, oh, I'm losing this lane and kind of all that stuff. Roram, you got something to add?
Yeah, I think the reason why Clog is so strong though is also because it disrupts two of the more easy decks to play, being Avengers and X Men, where they are really focused on getting those lanes kind of full to get their max benefit out of their Avenger bonus and their X Men bonus. And so throwing over the Valentina with a Viper or throwing over or sending a Green Goblin over with Titania, that can just end up ruining the game plans of these Avengers and X Men gamers. While you will struggle against like the move gamers, the Spider Verse gamers, because they're able to move the cards out of your clogged lanes, you still will be able to do well into two of the main decks.
I can say those are two of the three main decks that I've faced against. However, the third one is the one that's coming up next, Guardians of the Galaxy. So Guardians have the ability all cards reveal with +1 power at the glowing location, both yours and your opponent's. And the glowing location is one of three random ones. The preset Guardians are Mantis, who is 0/1. On reveal, if your opponent played a card here this turn, give a Guardian in your hand a -2 cost. Rocket Raccoon, who's a 1/3. On reveal, if your opponent played a card here this turn, draw a Guardian and give it +2 power. Star Lord on reveal, who is a 2/2 on reveal. If your opponent played a card here this turn, give +1 power to your Guardians in hand and in play. Drax, who is a 3/4 on reveal. If your opponent played a card here this turn, double this card's power. Groot, who is a 4/10 on reveal. Discard a non Guardian card from your hand unless your opponent played a card here this turn. And Gamora, who is a 5/9 on reveal. If your opponent played a card here this turn, destroy their lowest cost card here. Denish, we'll start with you.
Yeah, this is the one I've played the most of because it kind of fits hella the best. That's what I've been running it with. But I've run it a little bit without it as well. And to be honest, I love these Guardians so much. I wish this is what they were like in the real game. Imagine if we didn't just have the Rocket Raccoon and Bounce, but we had like a Star-Lord in like a hand buff deck. We could have Drax in a BP Zola-esque deck. Groot is a really cool discard card at 4/10. Gamora is one of my favorite cards in the game now, and we're just never going to get to use her outside of the game mode. Even Mantis, while I don't think necessarily should be a 0, and obviously her ability doesn't really apply to the real game, it's just really cool how they synergize. I also love the ship, the glowing location. I don't really understand how it works fully because sometimes there's two glowing locations, sometimes the same location glows twice. Sometimes there's only one location. I'm not sure you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, or I don't actually understand the ship fully.
I can
Is there?
explain.
Yeah,
So, as a Guardians gamer, one location, your location will show up. But if you're facing two Guardians at the same time, so you and your opponents are both playing Guardians, then two locations will be purple.
that makes a lot of sense. I've been playing a good amount of the mirror, so that yeah, that explains it.
Yeah, I if I may interject here, I think Guardians of the Galaxy, first thing, they buffed a lot of these cards from the data mines, which that's where we were getting most of our information, was from the data mines, seeing these cards. Like Mantis was a 1 cost before, Rocket was a 1/2, Gamora was a 5/8. Like they added a lot of buffs to the Guardians, the main six, to start off with. But the coolest part about Guardians that I think is unique compared to the other four decks is that its bonus ability isn't tied to the Guardian archetype at all. So you can play all other cards, like all non Guardian cards, as your other six in the custom deck. And it actually makes your deck flow a lot better because Mantis now is more targeted on what she's going to give a discount to. Rocket is better at drawing a Guardian card out of your deck, all those different Guardian cards. The only one that kind of suffers from that is Star Lord, where he's not getting as much value out of his ability. But I think the extra consistency from Mantis and Rocket definitely outweigh the downside that you get from Star Lord by not running full Guardian decks. And so when I went with Guardians of the Galaxy, I decided to go bounce. I thought, what's the best way to take advantage of these purple locations by giving myself a lot of buffs was to play all my cards out, bring them back to my hand, and then play them out again into another location. And for me, it actually ended up going pretty well for the most part. My biggest weakness was not drawing a bounce card. And so I'd like to try different styles of decks with this card, maybe like a Jean Grey version in the future. But overall, I was very low on Guardians of the Galaxy, and it ended up being one of my favorites out of all of them.
Zen, I don't know how much you've messed around with Guardians, but it seems like something you would really enjoy. Have you tried it at all?
I feel like I'm looking at the cards right now, and I feel like I get a headache from managing Prio just in my head. Because wait, does the location affects both players, right? So both players get the plus
Yes,
one.
it affects both players.
Yeah, so like you're kind of mind controlling your opponent, except like like when you play Sanctum, and then like it's like, I know you're gonna play my Guardian here, so I'm not gonna play there. I feel like if I'm playing Guardians, I'm like, and I start playing against good people, I'm going to get that syndrome. So I can see like after a week of games or such, like once people understand how to play into Guardians, it might be really frustrating to play this deck. So I'm thinking of ways like Roram said, like Jean Grey. Like, how do you force your opponent to have to play here? I'm thinking like Vision. I'm thinking like mind control cards, because I think like in 2 days or whatever, people are just gonna ignore the Guardian lane.
Yeah, and to be fair, even if they do ignore the Guardian lane, they still don't feel terrible to play on a whiff, especially if you're running something like a Grandmaster or an Odin, or not necessarily an Odin, but like a Misery, because you're still getting +1 on their body. So like Groot is a 4/11 that discards a card, which can be an upside. I'm sorry, I'm still gushing. That's so cool. Um, Drax is like a 3/5, which isn't the worst thing in the world, and you still get to play obviously all your like Rocket is a 1/4 even if you miss, as long as you play it in the glowing location. Like I think it helps balance out your misses because you're still getting the +1 power.
Yeah, I've played against Guardians a lot. I think it's the deck that I've faced against the most. And personally, I think it has a really bad matchup into Avengers specifically. However, I think it's a lot of fun in terms of like the play styles and stuff like that. Like I've seen a lot of people try Guardians bounce. There's a ton of cool stuff. The pre-constructed deck, I think it's pretty bad, but aside from that, I mean, like it's sick. Like I've had Gamora destroy like something cool, and it's like I really got a mind game. Like, okay, where are they going to Gamora? Can I just not play in that lane? I need a Sam Shield in that lane, just like that kind of stuff. But yeah, I think that it is one of the coolest ones, and I think the main reason that it's not tied to the specific like guardian class is because there's just so few guardians. I think there's only like less than 30, so you can't really, it's a little bit harder to deck build with that one as compared to the other ones. But as for the last team, the one that I think I've enjoyed playing the least out of the ones that I've played, Spider-Verse. So Spider-Verse, I think, is the strongest ability. We'll start off there. You get +2 energy if one of your Spider-Verse cards moved last turn. But these pre-constructed cards, not really it, in my opinion. We'll start off with Ghost Spider, who's a 1/2. On reveal, the last card you played moves here. If it's a Spider-Verse card, this gains +2 power. Agony, who is a 2/3. After you play a card here, merge this with it. If it's a Spider-Verse card, move it away from here. Then there is Scarlet Spider, who is activate, add a clone with the same power to another location, then move this to the third location. Symbiote Spider-Man, who is a 4/4. Activate, merge one of your cards here into this. Replace that card with a Spider-Verse card from your deck. Anti-Venom, 4/6. On reveal, set the cost and power of your deck's top card to 0 until that card moves. Importantly, with this Anti-Venom, even if that card were to gain power, like if it was a Taskmaster and you were to use it, it still stays at 0 until the card moves. And Spider-Man 2099, who is a 5/8. On reveal, for each time your cards move this game, give +1 power to one of your cards. And I'll start with this one. I found this to be a case of this has a really strong uh, ability, and the cards that synergize it are pretty strong. Human Torch is banned in this mode, though, so that is something to note. So it's not like crazy busted with Agony. But these precon cards, specifically Symbiote Spider-Man and Anti-Venom, are, in my opinion, the two worst precon cards by a pretty large margin. Like all of the other precon cards either serve a purpose, they feel good in their deck, just like all that kind of stuff. These two just feel like active, like it's a 4/4, effectively kind of vanilla. And Anti Venom is an active detriment. It's a 4/6 with a downside. So yeah, um, I think it's a good Jug Cosmo deck. Like that, it's not bad by any means, but like I think it's the weakest of the five just because of how weak those pre-constructed cards are. If anybody wants to piggyback off of that,
Yeah, so I actually played a lot of Spider Verse, and it was definitely my least favorite of the decks, and it was solely because of what Smlz said, where the symbiote Spider Man and the anti Venom were just they were just not very strong. And actually, symbiote Spider Man had edge case uses. The anti Venom was just detrimentally bad no matter what. Um, like it just felt terrible to play at all times. So I think they need to touch up on the anti venom one at least a little bit there. But I think the best deck for it though that I found was just to go full man spider and just go into the merge synergies a little bit more. And that ended up being a lot stronger than when I was playing the Jug Cosmo Hydra Stomper list that I was trying because it just was too fair. Like you'd play against Avengers and X-Men, and they would just hyper stack your Cosmo lane, and you just ended up losing because you couldn't compete at that point. Um, and so that's why I went more into the Man Spider to go over the top of them. But the problem is that two of the cards of your 12 card deck just suck, and so you're already at a detriment compared to everyone else. If I may, there is one weird interaction that you need to know is that if you play Anti Venom, your card will stay at 0 the entire time until you move it. So even if you Anti Venom a Craven, if you move cards into the lane, he will not get the +2 power. He will just stay at 0. Or if you anti venom a Taskmaster and you copy it, the Taskmaster will stay at 0. It will not copy the power. It will copy the power, but it won't gain it until it moves. If that makes sense.
Yeah, I think this deck is pathetic. The ability is obviously strong, but these precon cards, absolutely not. None of them are really move enablers in a way that isn't clunky. Like Ghost Spider pulls into itself and then buffs itself instead of the card that gets moved. Agony like is cool, but also I don't think they can ever make 2/3 Agony not feel really late. Like, I don't know, there's a reason they made her a 1 cost. The Scarlet Spider is the one that isn't that bad, I actually like him a lot. I don't think we should have this in base game, because if the Surfer players didn't have to run Anti-Venom and Spider-Man 2099, I feel like that card would go kinda crazy, especially with, like, Maverick, because you're putting it in one lane, and then activating it, and then all of the power is in the other 2 lanes. It's almost like its own BP Zola. Which I mean, it's a really cool ability because you get a movement as well. Um, I'm I'm a massive hater. I'm not a Spider Verse fan. I don't even want to play against it, to be honest.
I might try some kind of like scream deck with it though. I think that could end up working out okay with like Ezekiel Sims, but it just felt poor overall.
You could play negative with it, Smlz.
No, I saw
Negative.
someone playing negative X-Men, and I thought that was really funny
Well,
earlier.
negative is actually a Spider Verse card, so
Yeah,
if you find a way
this
to
is
move it, you get
it is a
special energy.
Spider-Verse card. I don't know what synergy it's got, but it is a Spider-Verse card.
You
That's
could say
diabolical.
negative Hobgoblin.
All right. So the last thing that I want to touch on for Team Clash is the ticket and missions. So in previous game modes that had tickets, there was no missions. The intent was you were trying to win. In previous modes that had missions, there was no tickets. The evident was to complete your missions. So even if you lost, it was still fine. This is the first mode to combine both of them. I personally have not had a problem with it. I played for about 4 hours straight and I still have a ticket left. Although I have seen quite a few people complain that just having both is not good. For context, I did buy the 1200 gold pass, so I got extra tickets that way. But yeah, I have not seen pretty much any complaints about the gameplay. A lot of people have been loving this mode, but what are your guys' thoughts on the whole ticket thing?
Yeah, I can open with this one. I think it's fine because if you want to get the card, well, here's the thing. If you want to get the card, you almost certainly need to buy the pass, which I think a lot of people could complain about. But the fact that you purchase it with gold and it's not an unreasonable amount of gold, it's like 1200. I think that it's fine and I don't really care that much. I'm strongly against them doing what they do with their season passes and just saying, well, you can't have the card unless you pay us. But I think as long as it's locked behind gold, that's fine. Regarding free to play, I actually don't think anyone will ever get the fastball special free to play, which is a little bit of a shame. You just have to wait on it. Which I mean, yeah, I mean that's tough. But
Wait,
other than that, I'm happy with it economy wise. I think once you spend the 1200 gold, it is incredibly reasonable.
I think people can get the fastball special free to play. They just can't get the Hulk free to play. Like even if you
I
buy, because how much in order to get the how many points do you
You
need
get
in total?
so if you complete the entire track, you get 3,000 emblems. And by then you'll have more than enough to get the actual card to get the extra. My guess is that you'll have to complete probably definitely most of the track. My guess is I saw something that said you needed like an 80% win rate as free to play to finish the pass. So
Okay.
my guess is like you
yeah.
need to be quite good free to
I,
play.
I
So
don't
I
Okay.
think the intention was you had to really grind if you want fastball special free to play, but Wild Child should be easy for everybody, and if you get the event pass and you do some grinding, fastball special should be obtainable.
Yep.
I do not like that part. I think they should have put fastball special at a price of say 3,000 emblems, because I think that's a more fair price, especially because they have a lot of really cool stuff in this shop. Like I would like to get fastball special and all of the emotes because I like all three of them. But I'm probably only going to be able to get two because even though I plan to use all my tickets because I really like this game mode and I find it really, really fun, it's just kind of bad. Although I do think the event gold pass is definitely worth the 1200 just because fastball specials can be quite a good card. I'd also probably have put fastball on the track instead of wild child because I think wild child, although it's a strong card in my opinion, it's a quite boring card. I think fastball special is the more exciting card, and even if it turns out being weaker, I think more people would enjoy playing with that card as opposed to
Well,
something like a wild child.
that's why they put it in the shop, though.
Well, yeah, it is, but it. Yes, that is why they put it in the shop. But it does suck for those free to play players who've been waiting for fastball special and 2 days ago realized I can't get this unless I spend 1200 gold, and maybe I just bought the new Maverick variant and now I don't have gold.
Yep.
Yeah, and you're right, Dennis. You like now I'm looking at it like it's just not free to
It's
play.
not
It's gonna
reasonable.
be it's not reasonable to ask for something like that. But like also 1200 gold is for that many rewards is also not that unreasonable of an ask either from the community, in my
Yeah,
opinion at
Absolutely.
least.
I
Yeah,
think
you
the
get
prices passed well.
yeah, you get as free to play, you're getting 500 from the track if you hit 90, 500 from the season pass if you finish it, and as in like the free track, and you're getting like 200 a week just from doing missions. So this is if you're free to play, you have more than enough gold to get unless you're buying like variants, which why are you doing that as a free to play player? If you want to do that, that's up to you, but like at that point, I don't think you can really complain too much. I feel like it's still very reasonable for free to play. It's just they've implemented these limited time modes that are almost sucking the gold out of you, which it's something to spend it on. So
Yeah, I
not too
think
bad.
my biggest issue with the tickets so far has been the update with the patch and how frequently it's been crashing. I hope that Second Dinner sees that and recognizes that, hey, like half of our players' games are crashing all the time. Can we reimburse some tickets? Because I lost like 5 or 6 tickets from just my game crashing and me losing the game because of it. And so, like, I'd
Yeah.
like those tickets back, of course, but I hope that they recognize that
Yeah.
that's been happening since the
Yeah.
patch on Tuesday.
There's been a lot of jokes about it being Marvel Crash since the patch on Tuesday, but yeah, I really hope they change that. It's probably the biggest issue with the game right now with all that stuff going on. But in general, what do we rate Team Clash? How many stars? Because I'm gonna start. I think it's the 4.5 out of 5 star mode. I just wish fastball special was like slightly cheaper, like 3,000 emblems, so it's more fair for free to play. But I love the gameplay. These new cards are so sick. It feels like a whole new set of cards just released in Snap, and you get to like play around with all of them because a lot of them have like really different abilities. So I explored Avengers today. I'm excited to try to probably do Guardians tomorrow.
Yeah, I'm actually going to give it a 5 out of 5 stars because while there is the complaint that if you're free to play, you can get the card and like that's it, and nothing. The rest of the shop is just not reasonable to buy out. I also think that you can still get the card, and so I'm not actually going to knock the economy aspect against it because this isn't even close to like a Kid Omega situation where it's completely paywalled or even like season passes. Like I'm pretty much free to play. I get the season pass now, whereas I used to not. But even now, getting the season pass, like, and I have the gold pass as well, actually. So I'm definitely not free to play anymore. That ship has sailed. But I can see in the mind state that I would have been when I was free to play, I would have been completely fine with this. And so I'm gonna give it 5 stars because they also designed like, how many cards is it?
Uh,
30 new cards
30,
for
yeah.
this, like incredible. And I think 25 of them are amazing.
I think 28 of them are. But Zenid, what's your rating?
I think if all 5 decks were playable, I'd give it a 5. I think I'm hovering like 4.54. I think I, I'm playing the game mode, so at least it's a 4. Because like Not all these game modes are playable, but I do think a meta is gonna get figured out, and then I do think I'm gonna get bored of this and just grind ladder instead. Like, so yeah.
Roram, what do you think?
I think it's really early to tell how the meta is going to shake up because it is only been like 6 hours since it's come out. Um, I'm going to give it a 4 with the potential for it to go up. And I think a strong 4 will just stay where it's at. It's definitely better than a lot of the other game modes, but it's not one of my favorite game modes.
And
Uh,
real quick before we move on, regarding the meta, because I think that's a little bit interesting. I actually don't think it's going to shift that much because the players are getting just enough, if not just under enough tickets to be able to complete their missions. And so, with the missions being play this deck, play that deck, I don't think people are really going to play the game mode other than to do missions, which you could argue is also a complaint that you could have, but I think that's fine because what it does is it makes it so that instead of everyone being on the broken one all the time, now everyone's on whatever the shop tells them to do. Which, I mean, I'm okay with that because I think that's actually going to do a lot to prevent the meta
yeah.
from
I feel
Further
forming.
like
speaking on the meta, I've also seen like 4 different decks get called OP today. And I think when everything people are having a lot of success with, it's a healthy meta. Like I'm having success with Avengers, people are having success with Thunderbolts, Roram, you're having success with X-Men, Denish is having success with Guardians. The only one I haven't heard is Spider-Verse. But you know what? I'm happy if move is finally bad. It's been way too long.
yeah, I guess I'm a little bit more skeptical because I think people like to fall into habits of winning. And
Mm.
so we'll see. Maybe hopefully I'm wrong on it devolving into just 1 to 2 decks.
All right. Now, let's talk about the next game mode on the list, Sanctum Showdown. So, I'll start with this. I am not a Sanctum fan. I will gladly pay 800 gold to completely skip this mode. It's just really boring to me. It's all the same stuff. It's all just Sauron and then Move and now Man Spider and it's just all the same decks. I prefer ladder because there's at least some variety there. Sanctum just kind of feels like it's already solved, and the game mode has kind of run its course for me.
I liked Sanctum a lot until people figured it out, to be honest. The mechanic of having some locations being more important than others is neat, and it plays around a lot with like priority management as well as just even board space management, where it's like, okay, I'm running out of space, I need to be able to fill here. The issue is Marvel Snap has a lot of cards that do that really, really well. Like you mentioned, Move, Man Spider, even Sauron. So I mean, I like the concept, but I just don't. It's not for me. I pay the gold for this one and don't play it.
Yeah, I'm not a big Sanctum fan myself. I'll still play it though. I'll go through. I'll play the whole time pretty much because I really do like the game modes in general. But Sanctum's probably my least favorite out of all the game modes in the game. I My issue with Sanctum is that it is so narrow of a design where only it's like a super hyper aggressive mode where the most stats that you can put down early is typically what's going to end up winning. And so they keep having to adjust their ban list to where Sanctum I think is the largest ban list in the game now because they have to keep banning cards to keep the meta new and interesting all the time. And once they banned all my Guardian cards, I was like, okay, I'm done with this game mode. But yeah, I'd pay 800 gold, and then I'd play just enough to get a card or two, and then call it
Yeah,
good.
you know, there's a problem when Groot gets banned. Then they've gone too far.
I think they
Isn't
banned.
Groot unbanned? I think it's Gamora and
It's
Rocket.
Gamora, Star Lord, and Rocket are banned. Groot and Drax are not.
Yeah, but it's the same idea.
Yeah, next time Drax is gonna get banned. We're like, ooh, Drax the meta tyrant.
Bro, Chamber's gonna dominate next time it's out. The freaking
Chamber is
Chamber
probably going to be
ramp.
really good.
Yeah, I mean, I hate Sanctum with a passion. Even though Sauron's like the best thing to play, like, who cares, man? Like, I like
It's
my
so
Denish
boring.
when he's bad. I don't like. I get bored when Sauron's the best thing to play in the meta.
All right.
Terrible.
I'll give it 2 stars because it was fun originally, but I just can't play it anymore.
A quick concept. What do you guys think about this? I just came up with this as a way to fix Sanctum. What if the cards at the Sanctum lane get exploded every single time that the Sanctum lane happens? And so it's like you need to now get even more new points.
I
You
think
can't
then it's
rely on
just
the
Then you
points that
just
are already on the board.
destroy. Then you just
It's
everyone's
just
like
Zoo
No,
destroyed.
no. They get banished. Sorry.
Zoo. So it's Zoo.
Well, no, because now you don't have any cards on the board to buff with your buffers.
It's not like buff Zoo. You just play like Shauna to
Bro, then it's
replenish
just
it.
big hand. No, you're
And
just
then-
b-handing.
I'm hearing a lot
You
of
play
different
once.
things. Well, no, because your
I
V
think
hands
it's
get
better.
exploded.
I think it's better than what it's at now, but I would personally just like.
I think that is a
unban 'em.
terrible experience for the player.
I think I would.
I think that's a horrible idea, to be honest with you. I'm sorry, Denish, but
Yeah.
imagine you're playing a game and then all your stuff just gets blown up. Like, talk about a fun experience.
Dude, Dennis is just trying to play Gambit Simulator like again.
Dude, you could
Yeah.
like Quake it away. It would be so sick. You guys are. Oh no, Quake's banned.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
Quake's
think
banned,
they need
dude.
I think they really need to take that ban list and just like remove. I think Sanctum would be more fun with no ban list than it
Yeah,
is
Werewolf
right
is
now.
banned, right?
Well, no,
Like,
it needs a
Werewolf is lot of
small
people's
ban
favorite.
list
Like a
because the first
small-
Sanctum was a horrible experience. It was the same deck, like 70% play rate. It was that
Like,
Werewolf
ye-
by Night.
Like you can ban
Guardians deck.
Werewolf, Rocket, like Star Brand, and like a few other stuff.
So I feel like you should just make it more punishing to lose the side lanes. I think if there was a different variance of like how much each lane was worth, like sure the Sanctum can be worth more, but I think
Yeah.
Like maybe you could snap a Sanctum snap or a side lane snap, and if you snap the Sanctum, that goes up by 1, and if you snap the side lanes, they
no,
go
because
up by
that's
1.
just dumb. Because then if one person snaps the Sanctum, the other person's snapping the side lane every time. Like,
Yeah.
don't
I just
know.
think Sanctum's chopped.
I think that
Yeah.
I think it's clear that this one needs a rework. Now let's talk about Grand Arena. So
which one?
we're gonna start with the pre-con only one, and we're gonna start with Roram, who somehow played, I think, 200 games of it.
Yeah.
So
So
you're the
I played-
expert.
I played over 200 games. I played 262 games, I believe, was my final count. Just from my top 4. Yeah, it was not that good. So I preferred old Grand Arena compared to the pre-con version. However, the pre-con version was still fun. Like, I think people were hating on it because it wasn't as fun as when you could build your own decks, which is very true. But that didn't make the pre-con only version not fun. Does that make sense what I'm trying to say? Like,
Yeah, I can kind of second, because towards the end I actually did play a bit of the Annie list, because I found the Annie list to actually be like pretty fun and a pretty cool like idea for a list. So that even though it wasn't like as fun as it could have been, I still thought it was like, I think Grand Arena is one of the best modes. I think it's probably my third favorite now after Team Clash and one other one we're going to be talking about later. But like, yeah, this really fun mode, and the pre-con only not making it like the worst thing ever. Like, I'd still rather play pre-con only GA over Sanctum, is just a testament to how good the mode is, in my opinion.
yeah, and honestly, like, the problem with the Grand Arena pre-con version wasn't because of Grand Arena itself. It was because of the design and choices of the pre-con decks. Them not being balanced in whatsoever fashion for the first 4 days kind of ruined the mode, because honestly, the last 2 days of Grand Arena was very balanced, very fun. It was a wide variety of decks. And I think if they just kind of had a better grasp on the meta itself and changing it out really quickly with that Black Panther deck, it would have been a slam dunk home run kind of game mode for them. But it, and who knows how it was for the casuals, because most of the people complaining was like the most in touch with the game, like all your viewers, you know. I think they're going to be the ones that are consuming Marvel Snap content. They're wanting to know what's good. They're wanting to play their own decks. They want to create things. But people who this pre-con meta was designed for are not the people who are watching you or me or pretty much any of this, because they're just wanting to play a quick game while they're on the toilet and calling it a day, you know? So I thought it was a good time, and I had a good experience with it pretty much.
Dennis, did you
Yeah,
play it?
I played a little bit of it. Grand Arena was my favorite game mode when the first one came out. Up to that point, I'm a really big fan of the champions mechanic, where you get the indestructible card with the spell in the starting hand. I think that that's really cool. I think I guess it would be the third time around, but the most recent time around, what they were clearly appealing to was the people complaining about all of the random tech cards that they have to play around, which was a real complaint that you could find on the official Marvel Snap Discord in the suggestion bin. I think it was the most upvoted complaint since like Kid Omega for a while. I could be wrong on that. It was very very loudly complained about that there were so many tech cards in the limited time mode, which I mean, I don't get it, but I guess that's a part of the community, so you have to appeal to it a little bit. But what happened instead is, well, at least at first, well, there's a lot more resources that Second Dinner has to put in to make sure that the precon decks are actually balanced. And I think that that's a lot harder to do than people give them credit for. And so well, personally would prefer that you could build your own decks. But if you're doing, because I never played after they fixed Black Panther or made his spell not ridiculous. I I I mean, other than that, because we haven't really talked on general structure of Grand Arena, I think Grand Arena is really cool. I love when the limited time mode lets you do things that you can't do on ladder, and that's the only way you can really, because I'm addicted to ladder. So the only way you can really pull me off ladder is adding new mechanics. That's why this newest game mode is so appealing. Whereas Grand Arena, you get like a couple new mechanics in the spells, and then I mean that's really enough because you can build around them. But I mean, you can't build around them when they ban all of the non-precon decks. That's, I don't know. I think it was a terrible decision to only have precon decks, but I also think, I mean, it's still Grand Arena. I enjoyed it for a day until it became awful. So maybe it got better after, I don't know. I stopped playing it when Black Panther was every matchup.
Yeah, so I played the least of everyone here, and quite literally, when I played Grand Arena, me, Kyle, Smlz were just doing Hate Watch Simulator, just seeing how many Thanos turns could pass by. So like, even for the casual player experience, Roram, like the guy just wants to go play their favorite Thanos deck, see the stones, because so many people love Thanos. You load into the game, you just hate your life. Like I'm pretty sure that's what's happening to a lot of players.
Yeah. The Thanos deck was certainly
It was terrible.
it
It
was
was it's probably the worst designed deck I've seen, and Black Panther was number two.
yeah, the Thanos deck was absolutely horrible. I don't know what happened there. But yeah, this was the only mode that I have ever I really wanted all the pixels cuz I thought they were really sick. So I spent like almost 3,000 gold in total, or maybe even just 3,000 gold to just completely buy everything and bypass the event. Because not until after BP got nerfed that I actually enjoyed playing it. And yeah, I just I do not regret my decision of completely buying out Grand Arena because I don't like precons only. As for regular Grand Arena, I don't like it more than Team Clash or another one, just because I think that the tech cards can get a little bit boring. But I do think it's a really cool mode. I had a lot of fun with the Mr. Fantastic champion and the Human Torch First Steps champion in the original one. In the one with the second rerun, I liked the Magneto champion a little bit, and yeah, I thought it was pretty cool. I'm a Grand Arena fan, but I definitely thought the first time run was cooler. Although my favorite champion through all three runs was definitely Annihilus, because I think that skill is a really cool one.
I think we're good for the pre-con version of Grand Arena. Is the next one the
Yeah,
normal
the next
version?
one is we're talking about the normal Grand Arena now. Like, what do you like? Do you
Oh, my
like the
bad.
normal one or what?
Yeah, I once again, this is my favorite game mode until the new one. I just love I mean, all of them. I couldn't even play Hela for most of them. I think I got the Magneto one working with Hela, but other than that, like the spells don't work with discard. They're very narrow in the sense that like they it's very clear what archetypes they want you to play each time they run the event. And I mean, it's really hard to push them on that, especially with the spell in hand. But I mean, that's fine. You could just play whatever they want you to play. And I Grand Arena thumbs up. That's what I'd give it. Out of 5, I give it a thumbs up.
Okay. I give it a 5 out of 5. I love Grand Arena. I thought it was fun. Both the pre-con version and the non-pre-con version. The non-pre-con versions were more fun. Um, although you had to face pretty much destroy the entire time. It's so interesting because we're in a meta, me, Smlz, Denish, and Xenaid. Our MMR and our people that we face are so different than what other people face. Where in the pre-con version, it was pretty much well established amongst the best players that Weapon X was the best, but then Black Panther was the best performing deck of them all. And it's the same thing with the other Grand Arenas, where in the second one, it was Hulk that was just dominating people. And in the first one, it was the Agatha Doom one. While the Destroy deck was like the one where I was like, dang, this thing is a monster. Just so easy to get so many points so quickly. And that's what I really enjoyed about Grand Arena was that everyone's experience was very different, but also they did need to touch upon them both times with their bans and with their tech cards because the skills when they add the new skills and the new champions, they just end up breaking the game sometimes, and it's sometimes a miserable experience after the second day. That like day two, like day 3 and 4, where you're like playing, you're like, man, everyone's figured it out, and then they change it up again on day 4. So I think Grand Arena is a 5 out of 5. However, there are some times where I don't like it as much, but I've also probably the player out of the 4 of us here that has played it the most.
Oh, absolutely.
Definitely. Yeah, I engaged with the first one a good bit, but the second one I played for like 2 or so days. I like the Magneto, but that was like it. And then when I start to see a meta take place, I was like, nope, no, thank you. Zen, you got any thoughts on Grand Arena?
Yeah, the second one really just fucked me up. I think like the second one, I was just like, I paid the entire pass. Like I couldn't play a single game of it. So I think I just can't justify giving it higher than like a 2 out of 5. But I think the first one was like good, like enough for me. Okay, never mind. 3 out of 5, right in the middle. Like, but man, that second one really put me on hate watch. I think I'm still on hate watch for it, Loki.
Yeah, I just hope they give us some cooler champions now. I'd like a Viv champion specifically, if anybody's listening from SD. I think a Viv champion would be really, really cool. High voltage. I'll start with this one because I'll be honest, I hate it. It's my least favorite of all of them. I never play it. I'm happy they moved it to cosmetic only. I think it is a what people think Grand Arena is with all like the tech slop is what high voltage is. There's two decks. It's all in Living Tribunal or it's tech slop, and there's nothing in between. And they banned a lot of the tech. So now it's just Tribunal or like Cannonball. And that's it. And I find it really, really boring. I think this should have been the pre-con only mode because this is the mode that actually has the problem with tech. And yeah, I really don't like it. And I'm happy if I never have to play a single game of it again. I give it a 0 out of 5. Unplayable, in my
I
opinion.
I agree with you entirely, and I'm very happy they moved it as well because when it's cosmetic only, I don't have to play it. I think it was fun the first time around, and it got old pretty quickly, which I mean, I'm glad they well, we'll get to that in a second. They switched it up a little. But yeah, I think that I can understand why people like it, but I'm curious. They keep running it. I honestly am very curious if the number of people who play goes up because of high voltage. Like when they run it on over a weekend. Do people play for that? Because like I get why people want it because number go big, but like really, I don't know. I mean, it must work because they keep doing it.
Anybody got any more thoughts on high voltage or
I think it sucks. Like I don't like number go big and then I can't interact with anything my opponent does. I don't get how that's fun. I don't get how that's playable.
I must be the opposite person here because I actually enjoyed high voltage. Like until high voltage overdrive came out, I really enjoyed high voltage. I thought it was fun. They were very short games, 3 turns, get them out, get them over with. You could do your biggest combos ever, and that's pretty much all they were, and that's totally okay. Um, I thought that was. I think that's very fun. I think it's enjoyable for a lot of players, but I can see why people don't like it as much because it is short games. It is just whoever can get the biggest combo. But that is also like it's appealing to a specific group of people, and that's why they keep running it because it's obviously successful if they're going to continue running it this much and this frequently.
definitely. But I think there's not much to say about this one. But this one, for context, high voltage overdrive. We are talking about the gameplay here. Obviously, the shop was a complete failure and probably the worst thing they've done, in my opinion. Let's talk about straight gameplay. I'm going to start because this is by far my favorite mode. This is the only mode that I will regularly play over ladder. So, if you didn't play this, because it only ran once and it ran in what I think June. I'm pretty sure this ran in June. Uh, this is high voltage, but it's 4 turns instead of 3. You draw 2 cards per turn, just like high voltage, but you effectively have Erisham in your deck, but all the Erisham cards are surged. So it's 8 cards, I believe, added. All of them are surged. And if both players play, I think 5 of them total in the game, a modifier goes off and it changes the game. The modifiers, some of them definitely take too long in terms of animations, and I wish they'd fast forward them. However, this is just so fun to me. This is casual Snap at its finest, in my opinion. It is such a laid back, have fun experience. It's a missions based mode, but all the missions are really easy. It is, if you want to play Snap to just play the cards and have them be fun, and it's inconsistent enough so that nobody can really go crazy combo or crazy tech, and you need to play your points, and it just feels amazing. This is if Erisham was an LTM. You can't have combos. Tech decks really don't exist. And it's just so much fun. This is my number one game mode. It is the yin to ladder's yang for me. And I love it. I really, really hope they bring this one back. Because with an actually fair priced monetization system, I won't play any other game mode but this for a week. Like I won't play ladder for an entire week when this comes out.
I
Yeah. Oh, you
yeah.
go ahead, Denish.
No, you can go wrong.
I agree. I love this game mode so much. This like I loved regular high voltage, and then this came out, and I was like, yeah, no, regular high voltage sucks compared to this. Um, I just love the airship aspect of it, but also just the like how enjoyable the decks play out. Like I just enjoy all the whole experience regarding it, and it's a lot of fun. So yeah, this is probably my number one as well, and I'm eagerly awaiting for it to come out again.
Yeah, this is the game mode that I would most want them to add as a permanent game mode instead of Conquest, to be honest. I think that it, like Smith said, is really, really good at casual snap. I think that having this, my main complaint with it, there's two. The mission system, you say they're all easy, they're not. One of those missions is stupid. I don't want to play 35 surged cards when it refreshes every time you play a card that isn't surged. I'm sorry. Or every time you like miss a game. I'm pretty sure that was a bug, but I'm still gonna complain about it because that ate so many hours from me. You'd play 34 surged cards, and then the opponent would disconnect, and you lose your
Yeah,
entire
that
streak.
that that bug and Kid Omega were the two negative things at the game.
Yeah.
I never got reset past 20, I think. But
Oh my
like
god.
that was annoying. But like as a mode, aside from that one specific bug and the monetization, yeah,
Yeah.
I
My
loved it.
my other complaint would be I want more surge effects. It got a little bit repetitive. I loved the ones that were you do it on the last turn and you get a different effect. Chimichangas didn't have it, but I think the rest of them do. Because it added an element to the game that I don't think most people knew about, where you can like manipulate, oh, I don't want this surge effect, I want the other one. And adding more of them takes away from that a little bit, but also like just more variety in the Arishem mode would be good overall. I think add like 5 times more surge effects and this can replace Conquest. And I'll actually play it. Zen, what do you think about Overdrive?
I think I'm the biggest hater of all LTMs. I think this one pissed me off, and I wasn't really focused on the gameplay because I really wanted, I really wanted Kid Omega, and and I don't think I'll ever get over the fact that I couldn't get it, especially with how much I grind. You know, like I think I was just sick and tired of playing it over and over and over and never getting close to the reward. And then I went back to ladder. But I think like I was able to play it over and over and over, I think, which is more than the other game modes were able to say. So I mean, in my head, that must be a 4. Like at least.
Yeah. I I I mean, the only complaint I have is the lack of like custom cards, but to be honest, you don't need them, so it's fine. Yeah,
Yeah,
I'd give this
I
one a 4 out of 10 as well. Honestly, I agree with Zen.
SD bring this back, but like putting an event pass and 800 gold to get the card instantly, and make a really long track so that if we like it, we can play it a ton. Love, love, love the mode. Hate, hate, hate that monetization. Now, I believe this is the last one. Deadpool's Diner 2.0, I guess. This mode I thought was decent. I think we all overplayed it because of how rewarding it was cosmetically. But yeah, I mean, like the cosmetics and the borders, getting like 36 borders a day for just playing the game was amazing. Uh, as a mode, I thought this was a bit weaker. This is probably my middle of the pack one. Like I'll play it. Like I'll definitely play it to get the card. Like I enjoyed it up to a point, but it's kind of like this isn't something I'm kind of crawling back to. I'd probably rate it like a 3.5. I think it's probably slightly worse than Grand Arena for me, but it's definitely not terrible. And I think the asymmetric snapping is very good for a casual audience as well.
Best game mode ever. I love this game mode. I made friends with Nick Foley and Dynamite, our long-term enemy, because of this game mode. Like I think they should go all in on the win trading. I think it should be like emote your opponent 5 times as a mission for the game mode, or like every 10 emotes. Like some games like you can like give someone a thumbs up and you get like some credits or something. I think you embrace the emoting, embrace the win trading. I was so engaged. I would play this shit for days. Oh my god.
I do think win trading was more fun than the actual game mode, which is hilarious. I like Diner. My complaint is it loses its stakes relatively quickly to the point where you just have too many bubs. The only change I think I would actually want to the core gameplay is I want the top table to be bottomless. So if I have 10 million bubs, I can just pull up with my 10 million bubs to someone who doesn't have 10 million bubs and literally just make them go all in. That sounds hilarious. I want to do that because, like, just imagine. I don't know. I just think having it be such high stakes is kind of what you want out of Diner, because like that's why you want big number, right? And so I really like the concept of being able to go all in like a mode like this, and then obviously it gets refilled in like 8 hours anyways. So it doesn't really matter that much, but it feels like it does because you go all in 3 times, you win 8, and now suddenly you're at like, or I guess you win 32 cubes each game because it's Diner, and then suddenly you're at like 4 billion bubs. That's hilarious. I want to have a screenshot of myself at 4 billion bubs without having to buy them or have it take like 4 hours, or I guess like a lot more than 4 hours. But other than that, I'm pro Diner. I like the multiple snaps. I like I don't like the asymmetrical snapping as much, other than the win trading. I prefer having it actually be competitive, but because the cosmetics were worth grinding and the win trading was so funny and fun, then I'm looking past it, and yeah, it's another 4.
You're so funny, Denish. First, you want to banish all the cards on the field, and now you want to take someone's all their bubs away immediately.
Yeah,
Um, I personally found it pretty entertaining to play this game mode. Is it one of my all-time favorite game modes? No, I actually am the opposite. I enjoyed the gameplay more than the win trading. I actually got very, very tired of the win trading very early. And I was like, man, I wish I could just play the game. And that's pretty much where I ended things off, was like, I just wish I could just play the game right now instead of having to sit here and win trade with people the entire time, because I actually enjoyed the game mode a lot after they changed it. And so, yeah, that's probably my thing. Is I wish they brought the stakes back, because the second time around, no, sorry, this is the third time they brought it around. They had no stakes left on it, and I was like, man, this would have been a lot more fun if we could have had some stakes on this. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah,
yeah,
I'm a fan of Diner 1 over the other ones just cuz it was like the stakes, but I get that a casual audience like came out in droves and hated it. Like I'm pretty sure on the Marvel Snap YouTube, I think the November season preview where they mentioned the return of Diner, I think that's the most disliked one because tons of people hated it, and in the main Discord there was massive backlash over the original Diner. I know people who also hated it, and it's just kind of like that level of stakes is just not fun for a large portion of the player base. So I understand why they did that. But yeah, I mean, like I wish there was stakes. The win trading did kind of get old for me, and I was kind of just like, okay, I got a really good set of borders. Let me hit the button a ton of times. Like I got like 36 black cosmic and 24 rainbow cosmic. Like I'm not complaining. Like those are like my two favorite borders. But yeah, I mean, I think the mode in general is, again, I think it's very middle of the road. It's it's playable, like I'll get the card, but if they make it like okay, you need now you can only get 3 borders per reset, it kind of gets to the point of like I'll just grind this a lot day one and then just coast off that for the rest of it.
I got every single emote that I could from this mode when it was out, and selling emotes. I don't know why they did that. I forget if they made any message about it. I appreciate it, but there's no way that was like a profitable thing for them to do, or even like a reasonable thing for them to do. Just give everyone every emote for free, the ones that you can buy from the shop at least. I definitely appreciated it because I've leveled up my emote game quite a bit. There's been a lot of domino emotes now, and I love I don't know. I'm a big emote fan,
My
but
theory, though,
yeah,
is they gave the people too much power.
yeah.
Yeah, there's been a
But
lot of BMing since this. A lot of
I
beast.
I am the people though, so I'm
And
down.
you
All
had too
right.
much power.
I'm
We
not gonna
talked
deny
about
that.
LTMs for a while, so I think it's only fair that one of our location of the week is not the most interesting one. Miniaturized Lab. This is Iron Patriot's favorite location. What else is there to say?
I thought you were gonna make a pun. I thought you were gonna say it's a limited time location,
No,
and
it is.
you didn't.
That'd be a pretty good fun. That it's a
I thought you were
limited
gonna
time
say that.
location.
I have
Yeah.
a couple of things for Miniaturized Lab. The biggest one being it turns the game into a 2-lane game until turn 6, which is really cool. Obviously, it's good with IP and all that, but it also makes it a lot easier to predict where your opponent's going to play, and it completely turns the priority mechanics as well as the like power distribution mechanics on their heads, because instead of playing for 2 lanes, a lot of the time it turns into 2 people playing for 1 lane and then having a weaker lane and then seeing who can power slam Miniaturized Lab, and then whoever can't power slam Miniaturized Lab on the last turn almost has to also win the lane that the first person's been contending the entire time. I think Miniaturized Lab is surprisingly polarizing, and I'd love to hear, Zen, if you have any ideas about Miniaturized Lab.
My miniaturized lab usually never opens up again because you just play Iron Patriot into it, you get your discount, and then like you go next game. Um, but aside from that, I always play really scammy decks. So when you only have to predict between 2 lanes instead of having to predict between three, I can usually get your opponent to leave. If you run Jug, it's really fun because you can Jug on like turn 3, turn 4. They will have a clogged lane and they will leave the game. Like just like these small interactions by like forcing it into basically like, because it's different than Sanctum where you can't play in the lane, and it's like Space Throne. It's like it's more similar to Space Throne than it is to Sanctum, I think, for most of the game. And yeah, like you, all their setup gets negated. Like if you have a Cosmo or anything, you're just waiting for the right moment to fuck your opponent over. And
Yeah,
I love those games.
I do think it's like shockingly polarizing. You'd think Miniaturized Lab is so like it almost looks like a nothing location, but when you think about it, it's kind of fucked up. Roram, do you have anything to add about Miniaturized Lab, perhaps pertaining to like a Quake or a Snowguard as the Airshim guy?
Miniaturized Lab isn't one of my favorite game modes. I prefer other ones. I mean, not game modes, locations. It's it's just it reduces the game down to 2 lanes, and it really hurts moves. So it gets an A+ from me.
All right. Nothing much I have to say about this other than it's really good with IP, kind of good with Jug. I really piggybacking a lot off of what Denish said. You can find Denish at twitch.tv/Denish_Hell. You can find me at youtube.com/@SnapAcademyYT. You can find Zen at twitch.tv/ZenATFT. And you can find Roram at twitch.tv/RoramPlays now multiple times per week.
Crazy. I beat the no streaming allegations.
I think he did. Discord's at the top link in the description if you want to join up. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you all probably in 2 weeks for our holiday special.